Tigray region and Ethiopia on a mission, and we appreciate his work, and you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Risch and Ambassador Power. Welcome. Thank you for your willingness to serve our nation again, and to Cass and to Declan and to Rian. Thank you for supporting your wife and mother and her tremendous service to our nation. You're taking on this role, hopefully, once confirmed, at a critically important time. We all saw how in the last year of the previous administration, the absence of a Senate-confirmed administrator, the absence of clear and forceful leadership led to real drift and some challenges operationally and organizationally. And there are humanitarian crises all over the world, as many of us will comment today, from Venezuela to Yemen to Burma to Ethiopia to many other nations, and clear and capable leadership at USAID is critical. I have profound respect and appreciation for the work of the USAID, of folks who are deployed around the world. I just had the opportunity to meet with a number of the humanitarian partners and leaders that USAID is relying on in Ethiopia, as I have elsewhere. I also think it's critical we continue to explain to the average American how the work of USAID overseas helps keep us safer and more healthy and more prosperous. And tragically, COVID-19 is an opportunity for us to remind folks exactly how vaccinating the rest of the world is critical to preventing new variants from breaking out and from harming all of us. So I look forward to working with you in my role as the chairman of the State and Foreign Operations Appropriations Subcommittee and to having a meaningful dialogue. Let me dive in first, if I could, to what I just saw. If confirmed, can we count on USAID to work with this committee and with all of us in Congress to ensure that we are addressing the humanitarian crisis throughout Ethiopia and in particular in the Tigray region?
Absolutely. Thank you for taking the trip that you took. USAID, as you know, just made an announcement of an additional $52 million in humanitarian support. I think that makes the contribution so far $150 million plus since the crisis began. But the mitigating the humanitarian suffering, of course, is not all we need to be doing. We need to get at the root causes of that suffering and secure access so that that food can be delivered. So thank you for what you've done to try to make that happen.
And I'm optimistic we will make progress now on humanitarian access. I also met with the head of the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, Daniel Bekele, and discussed with him and with other international leaders about carrying out a thorough and independent investigation of human rights abuses. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, has also talked recently about doing a joint investigation. From your career working in human rights issues, what kind of investigation do you think would be most effective and have the greatest impact in getting to the root of human rights violations that have occurred?
Well, the biggest challenge traditionally for international human rights investigations, especially independent ones, is securing access. Okay. And so the key is not only getting the approval from the center and from the prime minister for something like that, but making sure that that agreement trickles down and that there's a willingness on the part of the authorities who've granted access to ensure that the checkpoints don't go up then as soon as the investigators deploy. There are many countries where atrocity allegations have occurred, have developed, unfortunately, creative traditions of erecting roadblocks, where it matters. In other words, harassing, intimidating witnesses and so forth, denying visas to particular communities, blaming so-called uncontrolled militia, without at the center really taking steps to make sure that those militia allow investigators to do their work.
I look forward to partnering with you and relying on your advice on exactly how to make sure that this commitment that's recently been announced by the Prime Minister to investigate and this partnership that I think is quite possible is successful. There's a number of things I look forward to working with you on. The implementation of the Global Fragility Act, a bill that I helped lead that's been signed into law that is a new tool to ensure that development and diplomacy take the lead in support of defense work in securing countries from the Sahel to the Northern Triangle. The Niloe Middle East Partnership for Peace Act and ensuring that we're investing in both people-to-people programs and joint economic ventures to facilitate the conditions for a possible two-state solution. and then ways in which we can keep the Development Finance Corporation a development finance corporation and to best use the MCC. My last question will be for you about the critical role that delivering safe and effective vaccines to the developing world can play in continuing our role as one of the world's leading supporters of effective public health programs. There's been a significant increase in the appropriated funds available through COVAX. We've rejoined WHO. What do you think we most need to do to ensure the prompt and equitable distribution of effective vaccines globally?
Well, let me just cite, Senator, the International Chamber of Commerce report. I think we discussed it on the phone a month or two ago, but that shows that until and unless there is economic recovery by virtue of vaccinations and curbing of the pandemic in the developing world, it's going to cost the global economy $9 trillion, including developed countries $4.5 trillion. Between that and the issue of variants, where as long as the pandemic is raging somewhere, there is a chance of some mutation and variant moving aggressively, it is so in our interest to make that happen. COVAX, if fully funded, will vaccinate 20% of people, they hope, by the end of this year, 20% of people in developing countries. That's not sufficient, and so looking to see how COVAX is being supplemented by bilateral donations, surplus donations, and other contributions, I think is really important.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador.
Thank you. Senator Paul.